Hi, Sandra here from Creating Spain. Have you ever thought of using your electronic cutter to foil your images? No? Neither had I until recently. So I have the word hello, and this is from an Unfortunate Event font. One of my favourites. I like it, it's a bit of fun, and it happens to be very good for demonstrating this particular function. So I've just typed it out and I'm going to select it and go to the effects menu and then drop down to line fill. And this will bring up your options. Now, your option probably won't come up with 0.5 centimeter line spacing. I put that in myself. I didn't bother to adjust the angle or the numbers of the crosshatch because you can put this up or down depending on what you want. And I just kept everything as it was. So if I go to auto preview, you will see that it's filled things in pretty well. So I'm going to click OK, and then I'm just going to zoom in really close so you can see what that has done. There you go. So from this, I need to go to Silhouette Studio, and I'm going to see if I can do the same thing in that. So I'm now using Silhouette Studio. Now I'm using the latest business version, but I'm pretty sure that these options are available in the other versions as well. But you will need to check on your software because, as I said, I haven't used Silhouette Studio for a long while. So with this one, I've got the very same text format here. And all I did was I went down here to the bottom right hand side, and this is your sketch option flyout. So you then get various options, and the one you want to use is the fill sketch, obviously, because you want to fill all these letters or whatever else you're doing, of course. And then you have an option when you've selected one of those, you can in fact go to the advanced sketch, and that allows you to mess around with the spacing and so on. Now I did notice on here the lowest I can seem to get it is 0.15. It looks fairly close, but mine was set to 0.05. So you just have to see how close you can get it. If you can't get it as close as you might want it, what you might want to do is to make it duplicated and then change the angle to a different angle on here so that you get a better coverage and do it that way. So that's how you do it on the software. Now remember, when you're actually sending it to the cutter with the software that I use most of the time, which is Shortcuts a Lot, I have my pen setting in Shortcuts a Lot set to a force of 30, and I just do it on the fastest setting because there's no point in going slow particularly, but that is a relatively low force. Now I'm not familiar enough with Silhouette Studio these days to know what your settings are going to be, but you need to set it up first of all so that you do it as a pen. You really don't want to indent the paper with this or the card too much because that will stop the foil from contacting. You want this to be on the surface, so light pressure with a glue pen, and you do the entire design with a glue pen. This is a Sakura glaze pen. The ink had dried up, was basically unusable, so I have stripped it down. And these are really easy to strip down. You take off the cap, take a pair of pliers, and you can literally just hold and twist, and you get the cartridge out. Now, the one thing that I would say about refilling pens of any sort is to try and go for ones which have got a slightly wider barrel, because it makes it a bit easier to get your glue into it. And the way to fill it is not from the back of the pen. For most cases, it's from the front. Because if you have a relatively viscous glue like this, it doesn't flow that well. And you're more likely to get air bubbles in it if you fill it from the back. If you take the nib out, and you just pull it out. If you take this plastic piece out, you can fill it from the front, get the glue all the way to the front, and then just quickly put the nib back in. Now for filling, you have different options. If you can get your hands on them, and some pharmacies may sell them, I don't know, in the UK or the States, I don't know. In Spain, you can go into a pharmacy, you can buy all sorts of size syringes without a problem. Use a syringe to syringe in. Most pens will take less than a teaspoon of anything that you're putting in. So although this looks like a very small syringe at 2 ml, you don't need very many of them. So you then put your cap back on and reassemble your pen. Now it works at the moment. I don't know how long it will continue to work. Maybe it will dry in the barrel. I have absolutely no idea. But, you know, as a temporary measure, it's fine. If you have a Zig Glue Pen, the reason I haven't used this one is because it's got one of these nibs that pops in to aid the glue coming out. And although I haven't tried it, I suspect that it won't draw that well in my machine, simply because it's quite possible that it will need pumping before the design is finished. So you could try it if you've got one handy. I haven't tried it. I know that this glue works. The chances are that there are an awful lot of other glues that work as well. If you've got Eileen's Tack It Over and Over, that should do the trick. I don't know how thick it is. I've got some coming, but I don't know how thick it is. We've sorted out the software. We've sorted out that you need a glue pen. So how do you actually go about doing the process? So first off, you sort out your software so that you put a fill into your text or your pattern, whatever it is that you're doing, a line fill. And you get it as close together as you can, because the closer together it is, the more glue you lay down and make a solid image. So it's pretty simple. So on the first pass with your machine, you put the glue pen in and you use it on a light setting. You don't want heavy pressure. And your normal pen settings for drawing with your Cameo or your silver bullet or whatever is what you're talking about. And once you've done that, you will basically have this design, but it will just look like it's wet. Now in the case of this particular glue, I didn't have to wait for it to dry. I just left it on the machine. I took a piece of foil. I put the foil over the writing and I stuck it down, and I put a piece of printer paper, just one piece of printer paper, over the top, and I stuck it down onto my mat. Now, 2 reasons for doing this. Printer paper holds it down and protects it at the same time, and I put my silver bullet on maximum pressure and went for it. Now you must make sure that you are going over the image exactly as it was, so do not remove it from the mat. Just change the settings for the pressure and go over it with your embossing tool or your empty pen or whatever else it is that you're using. And because you're going over exactly the same design with exactly the same strokes, it will go over everywhere that the glue was put down. And then you get this really, really good foiled image. And that is beautifully foiled. Thanks for watching. Take care now. Bye-bye.